Welcome to our channel of IGNOU Audiobooks, Indira Gandhi National Open University, School of Engineering and Technology, SOET, Master of Science, Renewable Energy and Environment, MSc-RWEE. Semester 1, MRW001 Energy Conversion. Block 1 Basic Concepts of Energy Conversion. Unit 3 Introduction to Non-Conventional Energy Systems. 3.1 Introduction. With the ever-increasing per capita consumption of energy and exponentially rising population, scientists and technologists all over the world see the end of Earth's non-replenishable fuel resources like coal, oil, natural gas, etc. At a present rate of consumption, it is estimated that oil and gases are not expected to last beyond 50 years, and many countries will face serious shortage of coal after 2200 AD, while nuclear fuels may carry as well. Beyond the middle of the next century, the fossil fuels consumption in most developed countries has already reached a level which this planet cannot afford, and it has caused a grave threat to the very existence of plant and human life due to undesirable of fuel of pollutants. The entire world is facing a severe energy crisis with increased cost of fuels, fast depletion of conventional energy resources and tremendous increase in environmental pollution. The situation warrants active research and development activities in utilizing alternate, non-conventional pollution-free energy resources. Government of India has created a separate ministry called Ministry of Non-Conventional Energy Sources, MNES, for this purpose. There has been tremendous boost for the use of non-conventional energy resources like solar, wind, biomass, MHD, hydrogen, etc. Objectives. After studying this unit, you should be able to describe the characteristics of the different non-conventional energy resources and their potential for harnessing, elaborate the application of the non-conventional energy resources, and appropriate the nature and characteristics of the various types of systems which make use of non-conventional energy resources. 3.2 NON Conventional Energy Resources. 3.2.1 Energy Sources. Before we consider in detail non-conventional energy sources, let us define three main types of energy sources. These are A. Primary energy sources. Primary energy sources, also called conventional energy sources or commercial energy sources, provide a net supply of energy. The examples include coal, oil and gas, etc. The energy produced by these sources by conversion processes is much higher than the energy used in obtaining them. The energy yield ratio, defined as the energy released by the source to the energy received from the environment, is very high, and that is why they are referred to as commercial energy sources. B. Secondary energy sources. The secondary energy sources produce no net energy. These sources are also called non-conventional, renewable, etc. and include solar, wind, biomass, geothermal, tidal, ocean, thermal energy, etc. C. Supplementary sources of energy. For supplementary sources of energy, the net energy yield is zero. They require high investment in terms of energy, and an example include thermal insulation. A detailed discussions of these sources is beyond the scope of this unit. We will now discuss in somewhat more detail the non-conventional energy sources. Non-conventional energy resources are eco-friendly. Some of the non-conventional energy resources like solar, wind, etc., which are also called renewable energy resources, are free of cost, easily available and non-exhaustible. Suitable technologies and devices are required to be developed to harness them more effectively and efficiently. Emphasis should be given to trap these energy resources more and more to conserve conventional energy resources so that they last long. In fact, non-conventional energy resources play important roles to save not only our conventional energy resources, but also to control environmental pollution. It is the interaction of three S's, i.e., energy, economy and environment, which is important. The use of solar energy does not create environmental pollution but helps in saving conventional energy resources mentioned above. Let us consider the case of heating water. Water can be heated by several ways. Some of them widely used are by making use of electricity, which is a high-quality source of energy. produced by burning primary sources, coal, oil, gas, at rather low efficiency causing environmental pollution, ash, waste harmful gases, etc. B. By making use of biomass, wood, agro waste, etc., which also leads to the environmental pollution. C. By using solar water heaters which makes use of solar energy. The non-conventional energy resources whose nature and characteristics will be discussed in the following sections are listed below. I. Solar energy. E. Wind energy. E. Biomass energy. IV. Geothermal energy. V. Tidal energy. V. Ocean thermal energy. And V. Magneto-hydrodynamics energy. 3.2.2 Solar energy. Amongst the non-conventional sources of energy, solar energy appears to be the most promising. It has the advantages of being free of cost, non-exhaustible and completely pollution-free. On the other hand, it has several drawbacks. Energy density per unit area is conditions greatly reduced the energy received. Therefore, in harnessing solar energy to be very low, it is available for only a part of the day, and cloudy and hazy atmospheric utilized for various purposes. Challenging technological problems exist, the most important being of the collection and concentration of solar energy and its conversion to the other forms through efficient and comparatively economical means. On the basis of the nature of energy conversion, the solar energy systems can be classified mainly into two categories. These are photovoltaic systems and solar thermal systems. There are various applications of both photovoltaic and solar thermal systems which we'll discuss later. In India and other tropical countries, solar energy holds out a great promise for the future. With the limited reserves of conventional fuels and slow progress of nuclear energy development programs, a strong need exists in India to develop solar energy devices for both electrical and non-electrical use. The atmospheric conditions in the country are quite favorable to solar energy reception except during the rainy season. India has a land area of 3.28 x 10 to the power of 11 square meters, with an average of 5 kWh per square meter per day, solar energy being available for over 300 days per annum with intensity varying from place to place. Nature of solar radiation. Two types of solar radiations are received on the earth. These are I. Direct or beam radiation. It is the radiation received by the earth without any interruption while passing through the atmosphere is shown in Figure 3.1. In this case there is no change in the direction of the sun rays. Look at the screen. E. Diffused radiation. It is the radiation received by the earth from all sides as shown in Figure 3.2. In this case the sun rays change their directions after scattered by clouds, dust particles, etc., while passing through the atmosphere. Collection of solar energy. A simplest method to collect solar energy is to heat water using plate collectors which captures both direct as well as diffused radiations. The solar radiations can also be concentrated. Two ways of developing concentrated solar radiations have been explored using in refraction collectors, viz., mirrors. These devices concentrate the solar rays to a focal point or focal plane which is characterized by high degree of heat which can be utilized for different purposes. The reflector is the better of the two methods due to the convenience with which it can be manufactured in different shape and sizes. If the arrangement is provided to turn the concentrator with sun so that the rays can constantly concentrate at the focal point or plane, a continuous supply of heat is made available during the hours of the day. A solar tracking system can be used for the above purpose. Measurement of solar energy. For the measurement of solar radiation, two instruments, which are generally used, are pyrheliometer and pyranometer. Pyrheliometer measures beam radiation whereas pyranometer measures the total radiation. 3.2.3 Wind energy. Wind is essentially created by solar heating of the atmosphere. Wind as a power source is attractive because it is plentiful, inexhaustible and non-polluting. Further, it does not impose extra burden on the environment. Unfortunately, it is non-steady and undependable. Several attempts has been made since 1940 to develop various types of windmills and wind turbines to harness wind energy for generation of electricity, pumping water, etc. and the development is still going on. However, techno-economic feasibility has yet to be established. India has vast coasted, hilly and desert areas where the wind energy potential is quite high. It is estimated that India has 20,000 megawatts wind power potential. In India, wind power plants are functioning in Rajasthan, Karnataka, and parts of Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, etc., where wind blows at an average speed of 30 km per hour. When large movement of air takes place, wind energy can be used for getting power from wind by using windmills. They can be used for pumping water or making flour. Additional equipments like wind turbine generator help in producing electricity. Large differences in solar flux falling on the Earth surface leads to different air temperature. In regions with solar radiation, which is strong atmosphere, air gets heated and expands to give rise to a high pressure region. At places where radiation is less, air gets cooler to give rise to a low pressure region. This difference causes acceleration of air particles and is termed as wind. Wind climatology of India. The large amount of climatology data at the National Climatological Data Center of the Meteorological Department may be used to prepare climatological maps. Wind speed for the country. In the winter months, the mean wind speed is less than 5 km per hour over the greater part of north, east, central and northeast India. Over most of the peninsula, speeds are higher, between 5 to 10 km per hour, while along the west coast the wind speeds exceeds 10 km per hour. The monsoon is the season of strong winds throughout the country, and wind speeds of 20 to 30 km per hour winds over Saurashtra, Kutch and 15 to 20 km per hour winds over western India, South Tamil Nadu and coastal Bengal. Strong winds also occur during the months of May to September, October, when depressions and cyclonic storms form in the Bay of Bengal and move generally in a west-northwesterly direction. Hurricane winds then occur often along the east coast and less frequently on the west coast during these months. By March, land and sea breezes also become more conspicuous over the coastal areas. Thunderstorms and dust storms occur during April and May with increasing frequency and violence over most of north and central India. Measurement of wind speed. To measure the speed of the wind throughout the year, several types of anemometers are used. 3.2.4 Biomass energy. Among the non-conventional and renewable forms of energy, bioenergy offers the most potential scope due to a wide spectrum of biomass available in different agroclimatic regions of the world. Technologically, there are many options. Two important conversion technologies with various processes are as follows. I. Chemical conversion technology. A. Direction combustion for production of steam and generation of electricity. B. Pyrolysis. C. Liquefaction. D. Gasification. E. Biological conversion technology. A. Anaerobic digestion. B. Fermentation. The choice of a particular technology depends upon a number of factors like chemical composition and availability of the feedstocks, cost of processing, energy, input-output analysis, employment generation potential, environmental impact and social acceptability of the end product. An integrated view of R-WIS, its impact and social acceptability. Production, conversion, utilization and conversion may help accelerating the pace of transition from non-renewable to renewable sources of energy to meet our growing needs on decentralized basis. 3.2.5 Geothermal energy. Geothermal energy refers to the heat contained in the inner core of the earth. This heat, deep inside the earth, acts as a source of power. The temperature at the inner core of the earth varies from 3000 degrees Celsius to 10,000 degrees Celsius as a result of this difference between Earth's crust and the inner portion. Heat flow in the Earth's surface is equal to 63 kilowatts per square kilometer. Two ways of electric power production from geothermal energy have here been suggested. In one of these, heat energy is transferred to a working fluid, which operates the power cycle. This may be particularly useful at places of fresh volcanic activity where the molten interior mass of Earth vents to the surface through fissures, and substantially high temperatures, such as between 480 K to 590 K, can be found. By embedding coil of pipes and sending water through them, steam can be raised. In the other, the hot geothermal water and/or system is used to operate the turbine directly. With the use of binary cycle, a well producing 6751 pm of 149 degrees Celsius water and steam could produce a net power of about 3400 kilowatts. At present, geothermal power generation in the world amounts to a total of about 800 megawatts. Of this, nearly 50% in Italy, 10% in Mexico and about 35% in USA. The Imperial Valley area of South California in USA has one of the greatest geothermal energy potentials of the world. At present, only steam coming out of the ground is used to generate electricity. The hot water is discarded because it contains as much as 30% dissolved salts and minerals, and these cause serious rust damage to the turbine. The water, however, contains more than 1/3 of the available geothermal energy. Research is being carried out to build turbines which can withstand the corrosive effects of hot water coming out of wells. In India, feasibility studies of a 1 megawatt station at Pugga Valley in Ladakh is being carried out. Another geothermal field has been located at Chumantang. There is a number of hot springs in India, but the total exploitable energy potential seems to be very little. 3.2.6 Tidal energy. Due to the gravitational pull of the moon in the earth, the seawater level shows changes. Their level is often up to 1 meter and cause tides. Sometimes, in coastal regions they reach a height of 20 meters, also causing a havoc. Tidal energy has been vigorously investigated as a source of power for generating electricity in some countries like France, Germany, UK, Canada, and USA, and a tidal power plant on the French coast and another in UK have been commissioned for commercial power production. In India, the tidal power potential is quite small, less than 1000 megawatts. Some of the major sites under investigation are Bhavnagar, Kutch, Diamond Harbour, and Ganga Sagar. 3.2.7 Ocean thermal energy. Ocean can store a huge amount of thermal energy since it has a large water surface area to receive solar radiation. Due to continuous heating of the upper surface of the ocean by solar radiation, the solar energy is converted into thermal energy and it is stored in the water. But different layers of the ocean water will have different temperatures. This difference in temperature of any two layers of water can be exploited to trap thermal energy using heat exchangers. The amount of heat that can be extracted from ocean water depends on the temperatures of the water layers and the efficiency of the heat exchanger. Heat contained between any two layers of ocean water can be expressed mathematically as QW equals MWCW, T2 T1, where MW equals mass of water between two layers, kilogram. CW equals specific heat of water, J per kilogram degree C. T equals temperature of upper layer, degree C, and T equals temperature of lower layer, degree C. This ocean thermal energy can be utilized to vaporize some organic fluids, having low boiling point using heat exchangers, and then this vapor at high pressure can drive a turbine to produce mechanical power and subsequently electrical power when the same turbine is connected to a generator. The whole system works on a thermodynamic cycle called binary vapor cycle. Partially ionized and compressed gas is expanded in a duct and forced through a strong magnetic field. Electrical potential is generated in the gas electrode placed on the sides of the duct. Pick up potential generated in the gas. High temperatures in excess of 2780 degrees Celsius are needed to produce necessary ionization so that it has good electrical conductivity. The conducting gas can be obtained by burning a fuel and injecting seed material such as potassium in the product of combustion. Seeding the gas helps in ionization and reduces temperature requirements somewhat. The exhaust from MHD generator is at a temperature of about 2200 C and can be used as the heating medium for steam raising in a conventional boiler, thus suggesting use of a combined cycle. It is believed that the present efficiency of about 38% of the thermal power plants can be raised to over 50% with addition of MHD generation in the conventional plants. A MHD generator of 6 meters long with magnetic field intensity of 100 kilogauss may produce about 360,000 kilowatts of DC power at 5,000 volts. Though the technological feasibility of MHD generation has been established, its economic feasibility is yet to be demonstrated. India had started research and development project in collaboration with Russia and installed a pilot MHD plant based on coal and generating 2 megawatts power in Trichy to study its feasibility. In Russia, a 25 megawatts MHD plant which uses natural gas as a fuel has been in operation for some years. 3.3 Photovoltaic systems. A photovoltaic system is used to generate power by converting solar energy directly into electricity by means of a device called photovoltaic cell or solar cell. Solar cell. It has a sandwich construction consisting of a metal base plate, a semiconductor material and a thin transparent metallic layer shown in Figure 3.3. Look at the screen. The transparent layer may be in the form of a sprayed conduct. Semiconductor materials are used for the solar cell. They are Cu2s, PbS, PbTc, gas etc. When the light strikes the barrier between the transparent metal layer and the semiconductor material, a voltage is generated as shown. There are 4 basic processes taking place in a solar cell. These are I. Carrier, electron-hole pair, generation by optical absorption, E. Carrier recombination, E. Carrier separation by built-in field, and IV. Carrier collection to generate photovoltage and photocurrent. Components of the photovoltaic system. A photovoltaic system has mainly 3 components as shown in Figure 3.4. These are I. Solar cell panel. The solar cells are combined in a series or parallel manner in module to generate higher voltage or current. These modules are then connected form a panel to generate the required power. The complete system with solar cell panel and supporting structure is called an array. E. Batteries. These are mainly used for storage of power generated by the solar cell panel. Batteries are particularly important for night applications. E. Solar tracking system. The function of the tracking system is to focus the solar panel directly towards sun to receive maximum intensity of solar radiation. The tracking systems may be automatic or manually operated. Efficiency of a solar cell. The efficiency, (C) of a solar cell is defined as the ratio of the output power to the input power. The dream of converting solar radiation directly into electricity for small and large-scale applications is increasingly becoming reality. This has been brought about by an enormous improvement, from both cost and performance point of view, in photovoltaic generation systems. Several such systems, with power generation capacity ranging from a few watt to megawatt, for a diverse range of applications, are operational in different parts of the world. The main applications of photovoltaic systems to be discussed in the following sections are I. Power generation, E. Street lighting, and E. Water pumping for irrigation. 3.3.1 Photovoltaic system for power generation. Photovoltaic power plants are generally stand-alone systems and cater to the energy requirements of isolated villages. Photovoltaic power plants can be used for supplying power to DC load or AC load. Power packs for DC loads. These power packs are widely used for powering various standard DC operated loads such as TV, radio, telephone sets for communication. Many other DC loads like aviation obstruction, warning lamps, very low power transmitter of Doordarshan, cathodic protection for oil pipelines, telemetry and gas detection equipment for ONGC offshore platforms, vaccine refrigerators used for immunization, communication equipment, etc., are powered through similar power packs. Power packs for AC loads. Inverter is the essential part of the photovoltaic power plants for powering the AC operated loads as shown in Figure 3.6. Its design depends on the type of the load special used. An ordinary inverter can be used to power normal lights and fans, however special inverters are required for driving induction loads such motor pump sets used. Till recently, such inverters were not available in the country. With the advent of such inverters, photovoltaic power packs can be used for powering petrol pumps, conventional vaccine refrigerators, or any other loads driven through AC induction motors. Look at the screen. 3.3.2 Photovoltaic system for lighting. Photovoltaic lighting systems can cater to both indoor and outdoor illumination requirements. The most popular indoor systems are with 1 or 2 photovoltaic modules, 1 to 49W compact fluorescent lamps, 1 battery, 1 charge controller and other accessories. The lamps can be operated for 3 to 6 consecutive sunless days operation. These systems are most suited for all domestic lighting requirements in rural areas as also for community sunless days operation. The second category of lighting system is the portable photovoltaic lanterns, which consist of a lantern assembly with 8/7W compact fluorescent lamp, a battery and electronics housed in a lantern-like enclosure, and a photovoltaic module. The lantern can be operated for about 3 hours per day. The module can be connected to the lantern assembly for charging during day and can be detached during night. The lantern can be carried to the place of use. The third category of lighting system makes use of photovoltaic system for street lighting for remote villages. A 20W, 12 volts, or 24 volts tube light is used for these applications. The tube light is mounted on a standalone pole, along with 2 modules and a battery. A lighting sensing device switches the tube light on in the night and after a pre-determined time, 3 to 9 hours. It is switched off by a timer. Thousands of such systems have been installed in different villages all over the country. 3.3.3 Photovoltaic system for water pumping. It has 3 different models depending on suction head and water requirements. Model I. This system consists of a DC motor centrifugal pump, monoblock set run by 300W solar cell panel. The peak water output of the pump is 1.5 to 2.0 liters sec, and average water output is 30,000 to 40,000 liters per day at 5 meters total head on a clear sunny day. Model 2. It consists of an photovoltaic array of 600W and a permanent magnet DC motor pump set suitable for suction head of up to 7 meters. It delivers about 75,000 liters of water against a total head of 6 meters and 50,000 liters against a total head of 10 meters on a clear sunny day. Model 3. It consists of a photovoltaic array of 900W and a permanent magnet DC motor water against a total head of 6 meters and 75,000 liters against a total head of pump set suitable for suction head up to 7 meters. It delivers about 110,000 liters of 10 meters on sunny day. The rated water output in all these models is achieved by positioning photovoltaic panels thrice daily to face the sun optimally. 3.4 Solar thermal systems. A simple method to use solar energy is to beat water or air with the help of flat plate collector. The temperature of energy collection, for actual use, by this method is limited to about 85 degrees Celsius, thereby limiting the scope of their applicability. Solar energy collection high temperature can be achieved with the help of a concentrating solar collector which focuses the solar energy collected over a large area to a smaller area where it is absorbed. There are wide applications of solar thermal systems. These systems are used to convert solar energy into thermal energy. Some of the important solar thermal systems which can be used to produce hot water, steam, for cooking and drying crops or to generate potable drinking water will be discussed in the following sections. 3.4.1 Solar thermal systems to produce hot water. Amongst various thermal applications of solar energy, solar water heaters have only commercial application which is economically viable. To produce hot water at low temperature range, up to 85 degrees Celsius, following solar water heaters are used. I. Collection cum storage solar water heater. E. Natural circulation type solar water heater, and E. Forced circulation type solar water heater. I. Collection cum storage solar water heater. It has both collection and storage provision in the same unit and therefore it eliminates the requirement of a separate insulated tank for storage of hot water. Owing to this feature, this type of solar water heater is attractive for domestic uses. Different designs of collector cum storage solar water heaters have been investigated by several scientists. Out of these, the built-in storage and the shallow pond water heaters are well-known designs. The design and the working principle of each of them are discussed below. Built-in storage solar water heater. This type of solar water heater is compact in design and it is characterized by advantages like low cost, easy installation, good collection efficiency and satisfactory overnight thermal storage. A schematic diagram of a built-in storage water heater is shown in figure 3.7. It consists of a rectangular box covered with 5 cm thick insulation around the bottom and sides. The top surface of the box is covered with 1 or 2 glass called glazing, keeping air gap of nearly 1 cm between the absorbing surface and glass cover. The box is filled with water. In the morning, the water heats up throughout day and withdrawn for use in the evening. This system works on the principle that the glass cover works as a glazing that allows short-wave solar radiations to pass through it and not allow to thermal energy, long-wave radiations, to come out through it. So, solar energy converted into thermal energy is trapped inside the box and stored in the water. Insulation is used to reduce heat losses from the box. Look at the screen. Shallow solar water heater. It is a simple and cost-effective device for heating water using solar energy. It consists of a blackened tray having some water within it, the depth being very small, typically only a few centimeters. A transparent plastic film covers the water in such a way that the film coming in contact with the top surface of the water. A number of designs has been proposed for the shallow solar pond heater. The simplest of them consist of essentially a large plastic-made water pillow with black bottom film and clear upper film. The water depth in the bag ranges between 4 to 15 centimeters. The whole assembly is placed in an enclosure. The typical peak temperature achieved by a shallow solar pond water heater between 60 degrees Celsius in summer and 40 degrees Celsius in winter. A typical shallow solar pond type water heater is shown in figure 3.8. A solar-assisted swimming pool works on the same principle of above. Solar water heater. Natural circulation type solar water heater. A solar water heater operating under thermosiphon flow is referred to as thermosiphon type or natural circulation type solar water heater. It is used for domestic purposes as well as for remote places where electricity is beyond the reach of the people. A natural circulation type solar water heater basically consists of separate heat collector, i.e., flat plate collector, and a storage tank units integrated by means of insulated connecting pipes. The storage tank is placed at a place above the level of collector. As the water of the collector is heated by solar energy, its density goes down and it flows naturally to the top of the storage tank, and its place is occupied by high-density cold water from the bottom of the storage tank. Thus, the circulation of water takes place automatically until the temperature of collector water is equal to that of the storage tank. Whenever hot water from the tank is removed for use, then cold water automatically enters at the bottom. For this system, hot water in the temperature range of 50 to 60 degrees Celsius is obtained. A schematic diagram of a natural circulation type solar water heater is shown in figure 3.9. 3.4.2 Solar thermal systems for generation of steam. For generation of steam, solar thermal systems make use of concentrators, which collect solar radiations at very high temperatures. There are various types of solar concentrator which can be used in solar thermal systems to generate steam. Some of such solar concentrators are dish type concentrator, parabolic concentrator, Fresnel lens, linear Fresnel reflector, parabolic trough, segmented mirror, spherical bowl, etc. A typical solar steam generating system using linear solar concentrator is shown in figure 3.11. Look at the screen. It consists of a parabolic trough, a cylindrical receiver placed at the focal plane of the collector, a steam collector, and a pump for circulating water. Solar concentrators are the collectors which are designed to condense the large amount of solar radiation upon a relatively small absorber area. Not only high temperature of energy collection is possible by using solar collector, but heat loss from the absorber is also reduced considerably due to smaller Area of the receiver. Since a solar concentrator is an optical system, it is necessary that it faces the sun at all times in order to receive maximum solar flux on the absorber surface. A solar tracking system can help to obtain this result. 3.4.3 Solar thermal system for cooking. Solar cooker is the most popular among all solar devices developed due to its simplicity of handling, operation and use. Box-type solar cookers are generally used for cooking various types of foods. Wide-scale application of solar cooker can help in substantial fuel saving. A box-type solar cooker consists of a rectangular wooden box. It is painted black. It is covered with thick insulation around the bottom and sides. The top surface is covered with a glazing, i.e., glass, and another glazing, reflector, is placed, making an appropriate angle to receive solar radiations and to direct them to the bottom of the cooker as shown in Figure 3. 12. Small boxes, painted black and containing food to be cooked, are placed inside cooker. The whole system is kept in an open space to receive clear sunshine. Frequent shifting and adjustment of glazing are required to track the system so that it always focus towards sun to receive maximum intensity of solar radiation. 3.4.4 Solar thermal system for drying. Drying is one of the most important steps of post-harvest handling of crops. The traditional method of drying employed in developing countries are open air sun drying or natural drying in shade. Since there is a little control over the drying rates in either method, the dried product is very often under-dried or over-dried, and the drying results in deterioration of food due to fungi or bacteria, whereas over-drying may result in hardening followed by bursting and spoilage of the food. In addition to this, the quality of the produce is deteriorated due to dust and strong winds etc. Solar dryers are the most viable option for most of the developing countries, especially those within the belt of good solar radiations. Experimental results for the development of solar dryers indicate large quantities of grain can be successfully dried to produce high-quality products at nearly competitive cost. Solar energy dryers usually employ higher airflow rates at a low temperature over a long drying period, in comparison of fossil fuel-fired systems which use high temperatures and low airflow rates for rapid drying. Some of the useful solar dryers are as follows. Solar cabinet dryer. This type of dryer consists of a small wooden box, with its length about 3 times of the width, to minimize the shading effect of the side panels. The box is glazed at the top and provided with insulation at the bottom and the sides. The interior surfaces of the box are painted black to absorb solar radiation transmitted through the transparent cover. This causes a rise in temperature of air in the box. The product to be dried is placed in simple trays having perforation, wire mesh at the bottom. The trays are then placed in the box. Holes are provided at the base and the top of the rear vertical side, a few cm below the cover, to permit air movement by natural convection. Glass roof solar dryer. This type of dryer is identical to a greenhouse structure and its working is based on the same principle of cabinet dryer. The drying unit consists of 2 parallel rows of drying platforms with slanted glass roofs, aligned lengthwise along a north-south axis. The inside surfaces of the dryer are painted black and openings are provided on the eastern and western walls, above and below level of the platforms containing the product. Air passes through the wire mesh of the platform is heated and picks up the moisture from the product spread over it. Such dryers have mainly been used to dry cocoa. 3.4.5 Solar still for production of potable drinking water. Solar stills are also called solar distillators. One of the main advantages of distillation process is that it requires heat only up to 120 degrees Celsius, which can be supplied from solar energy of other cheap fuels. As a result of large interest in solar distillation, several types of solar stills are evolved. These are single-effect solar basin stills, inclined or stepped stills, multi-flash distillation stills, single or multiple wick stills, solar film covered stills, etc. Out of these, only the basin stills using single-effect distillation have been used for the supply of large quantities of water for isolated communities or small supplies of water such as for battery charging. etc. The distillated output from the solar still depends on many parameters like climate parameters such as solar insolation, ambient air temperature, wind speed, atmospheric humidity, sky condition, etc. and design parameters such as physical properties of the material used in its construction, orientation of the still, tilt angle of the cover, spacing between cover and water surface, insulation of the base, depth of the water etc. A basic type solar still is shown in figure 3.13. It consists of tray painted black. Its upper surface is covered with a glazing at tilted position. It has a channel to receive distillate. The solar still is filled with impure water for distillation. In operation, solar radiation, after transmission through the transparent pane, is absorbed in the water and basin and therefore, water temperature becomes high compared to the cover. The water loses heat by evaporation, convection, and radiation to the cover and by conduction through the base. The distillate is collected in the channel. 3.5 Wind energy systems. Wind as a power source can be utilized for various purposes like generation of electrical power, pumping water and grinding crops. Two important systems which make use of wind power for our discussion will be I. Wind electric power generating system and E. Wind energy system for water pumping. 3.5.1 Wind electric power generating system. Wind electric power generating systems have been given due importance for the last many years, since wind source is non-exhaustible and non-polluting. So the systems making use of can help in not only to conserve fossil fuels, etc., but also to control environmental pollution. For generation of electrical power, Savonius type rotor is generally used. A typical wind electric power generating system is shown in figure 3.14. It consists of mainly a horizontal axis rotor, a gearing arrangement, generator, and a tower. Look at the screen. 3.5.2 Wind energy system for lifting. One of the important applications of wind energy system is to lift water from wells. In this system, the power of wind is converted to mechanical energy. This type of system are widely used in the countries like Egypt, Mexico, Indonesia, etc. A typical windmill used for lifting water for irrigation is shown in figure 3.15. It consists of rotor, a crankshaft arrangement and a pump, etc. The capacity of windmill to lift water depends on the velocity of wind, water, level of source etc. 3.6 Bio energy systems. There are various methods of extracting energy from biomass. The biomass is an important resource of obtaining energy in solid, liquid and gaseous forms. Some of the important methods of obtaining valuable product from biomass and the systems used for them will be discussed in the following sections. These are I. Anaerobic digestion of biomass for obtaining cooking gas. E. Gasification of biomass using indirect combustion process to obtain various useful gaseous products, and E. Liquefaction of biomass by using pyrolysis method. 3.6.1 Biogas generating system. Anaerobic digestion of organic wastes to generate biogas has attracted much in the recent years due to depleting reserve of fossil fuels. A biogas unit helps in eliminating the age-old practice of burning cow dung, agricultural wastes, etc. Biogas production is microbial process. The process is called anaerobic digestion. For generation of biogas, feedstock like animal and human wastes, such as cow dung, urine, poultry dropping free from litter, horse dung, stock excreta, night soil, etc., are used. There are 3 tested and field-worthy designs of biogas units. The names of these models are I. Floating gas holder type, Gobar gas plant, E. Fixed dome type, Janta biogas plant, and E. Ganesh model. A typical fixed dome type biogas plant is shown in figure 3.16. It consists of mainly a mixing tank to prepare the slurry of waste materials, a digester and piping system to remove biogas. Look at the screen. Biogas normally contains by volume 50 to 70% of methane, 25 to 50% of carbon dioxide with small amount of other gases such as hydrogen sulfide and Carbon monoxide. There are several applications of biogas. It is an ideal gas for cooking and lighting. A biogas engine can be used to drive pumps for irrigation. It is an excellent and economic fuel for petrol and diesel engines. Manure obtained as by-product from the biogas plant can be used for improving crops production. 3.6.2 Biomass Gasification System. Biomass gasification systems make use of thermo-chemical process for the gasification of various types of biomass. The nature of the products obtained in this process depends on the temperature, supply of steam and air. The gasification is done in the temperatures ranges of 600 degrees Celsius to 1000 degrees Celsius. Mainly, methane, carbon dioxide, hydrogen etc. are produced. A typical biomass gasification systems is shown in figure 3.17. It consists of mainly a gasifier, heat exchanger, wet scrubber, filter, etc. Look at the screen. The product gas mixture from the biomass gasification system can be used for generating process steam in industries and electricity in gas turbine, power plant, etc. With the available technology, one can meet rural energy needs by a combination of biomass, biogas and photovoltaic generating systems. 3.6.3 Alcoholic fermentation system. Alcohol is an important liquid fuel. It can be obtained by fermentation of different types of biomass, but only molasses is used nowadays for production of ethyl alcohol, C2H5OH. Bacteria acts as a catalyst for alcohol production. For example, production of ethyl alcohol yeast is used. 3.7 Geothermal energy systems. The various ways of using geothermal energy and the systems that make use of it are given below. Dry steam systems. Dry steam which can be extracted from geothermal reservoir or which comes out directly may have temperature up to 250 degrees Celsius and pressure of 35 bars. It can be used to run a turbine for producing electricity. Wet steam systems. Geothermal reservoir which can remain under pressure can emit a water steam mixture with temperatures between 180 degrees Celsius to 370 degrees Celsius. After separation from water, steam can be used to generate electricity or process steam heat applications, and the remaining water can be used for heating and air conditioning. Hot water resources. They contain hot water under normal pressure and temperature between 50 to 80 degrees Celsius. This can be used to boil liquids like freon and butane through a heat exchanger and can be used to generate electricity. Hot rock system. When temperature gradient is above average in which the water or water vapor is available, the heat can be extracted directly by boiling and letting water flow through hot rock region for further applications as in dry steam and wet steam systems. SAQ3. A. What are the applications of wind energy systems? B. What are the valuable products that can be extracted from biomass? C. Explain the role of biogas generating system for controlling environmental pollution. D. Show the steps by which ethyl alcohol can be obtained from biomass. A. What will be the expected useful applications of geothermal energy systems in future? 3.8 Summary. Non-conventional energy resources are environment friendly. Amongst various non-conventional energy resources, solar energy appears to be most promising. Solar energy can be harnessed for the following purposes: to generate electricity using photovoltaic systems. Again, photovoltaic systems can be used as power packs in rural and remote places to supply power to DC and AC loads, pumping water for irrigation and street lighting etc., to produce thermal power for producing hot water, steam, drinking water, cooking foods, drying crops. Wind energy can be utilized for generating electrical power and lifting water for irrigation. Energy can be extracted from the biomass to generate valuable products like solid, liquid and gaseous fuels and chemicals. Geothermal energy is yet to be exploited effectively to produce steam, electricity etc. Thank you for watching. We will see you in the next video with the next chapter.